So a little while ago, I did a lot of videos focusing on ergonomics. I talked about how to improve the ergonomics of your setup. I talked about how certain peripherals can improve ergonomics. And since then, ProtoArc reached out to me and they asked me to cover their EKM01 keyboard and mouse combo. They sent this unit over for me to unbox and check out. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing unboxed, then we'll go over the features. We'll talk about how I felt about it the last little while. And we'll compare it to a few things that I've used in the past. So don't mind the condition of the box. I'm assuming it was mainly the carrier's issue, but I did bring this up to ProtoArc when it did come in, and they mentioned that they would work with their logistics team to help improve the padding and stuff in their packaging. But the good thing is everything inside was still perfectly fine. The box is just a little bit damaged. So here we have the split ergonomic keyboard and the mouse. Let's take a look at the rest of the box. Talks about the 3 DPI settings, the 800, 1300, and 2000 of the mouse, a polling rate of 250 hertz, and the large battery capacity of 500 milliamps. So that's pretty great. The keyboard has the same thing as the mouse, the 3 different connection options. So you can connect these up to 3 different devices. One device using the unifying USB, and then 2 via Bluetooth, which is pretty awesome. I really like the ability to connect my devices up to multiple things, especially since I have multiple computers. I have a desktop and a laptop. You can use the same mouse for both of those, so that's pretty awesome. And yeah, not much else on the box here. It's pretty simple. Let's go ahead and get this thing opened up. Alright, so we've got our keyboard, we've got the manual, we've got a mouse, and we've got a USB-C, USB-A charging. So awesome that these devices are USB-C. You know, hopefully everything going forward is USB-C. The cable isn't the longest, but the nice thing is these do have pretty great battery life. So hopefully you're not charging them all too often. If we go ahead and take out the mouse here, pretty well built mouse, not the heaviest mouse, which is good. You know, very similar shape to my MX Master, for example. You know, they really use that as influence, I feel, for the shape and design of the mouse. It is just as comfortable as the MX Ergo, personally. It's not as wide, but it is a little bit taller, so that hump actually feels pretty good. You have the 3 buttons here on the side. The front button is for connecting the 3 devices, and then you have a front and back button. You have the DPI switch. You have a nice scroll wheel. It's not stepped. It's a smooth scroll wheel, but that's all right. And yeah, you know, it's pretty good. The one thing that I noticed about this mouse that's very different from other mice is the clicking is not very audible, which is very unusual for me for a mouse. So if you hear this, it's a very quiet mouse when compared to my MX Master. So a very big difference there, which is a good thing if you're working in an office. You know, it keeps your mouse really quiet, which is great. And that kind of goes along with the keyboard that has scissor switches. So scissor switches are typically the kind of switches that you have in a laptop keyboard, and it makes them a very quiet switch. So the keyboard itself, you know, is built really well. Like, it is a very solid board. There's not a lot of flex to it at all. The switches and the keys do feel like a laptop keyboard, which isn't a bad thing. It keeps it quiet, it keeps it nice and slim. I am not very used to a split keyboard, I'll be honest with you. So using this did take a little bit to get used to, and I'm still not very good at typing on it. But you have your 3 connections up here as well, so the unifier and the 2 Bluetooth. And I mean, you have some multimedia buttons right in the middle, which is awesome. And on the back, you just have the power switch. Oh, and the nice thing is you have 2 different styles of angle adjustment. So you could do the standard, which is angling the back and having it slant towards you, but you can also have it slant away from you, which is technically more ergonomic for you. So that's pretty sweet. It has the integrated wrist rest. Again, you don't want to be resting your wrists on this very much when you're actually typing. You want your hands to be hovering and then use this to actually rest your wrists on when you're not typing. But it is nice and soft. It's got a synthetic leather on top of there, which is, it feels pretty good. It's nice and soft. It's not too soft, but it's also not hard or anything, so that's pretty nice. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you how easily this thing sets up. So you go ahead and you open up the bottom of the mouse here, and this is where the unifying receiver is. So if you want to use the unifying receiver, that's where it is. This is magnetic, so that's pretty awesome that it connects back there like that. I love having devices where they have a spot to store the receiver, so that's really nice as well. And it's super simple. I'm just going to plug this in and get these turned on. And I'm all set, good to go. Using the unifying receiver is like that, super snappy. Now, if you want to use the Bluetooth options, oh, by the way, if you get it set up with the unifying receiver, you plug your thing in and it's not working, make sure that you select the unifying receiver as your device. And then everything works out really well, really quickly. Now, if you want to use the Bluetooth, I'm going to show you how to set that up. So to get the keyboard into Bluetooth pairing mode, you go ahead and press the button and you hold it until it flashes really quickly, like that. And now it's in Bluetooth pairing mode. So once it's flashing, you go ahead and you go to your Bluetooth settings and you can wait until you see the device show up. You go ahead and click connect and you're all done. Super quick, super simple. I mean, it's a very painless process, honestly. It works really, really well, and it shows Bluetooth information, so it shows you the battery life, which is really, really nice. Now, the mouse is a similar process. You go to the one that you want, you long hold it until it flashes quickly, just like the keyboard. Once it does that, again, you head into your Bluetooth, you go to add Bluetooth devices, and you'll see the mouse appear there. You go ahead and do connect, and it'll connect just as easily as the keyboard did. And once it appears here on my Bluetooth list, it will again show the battery life, which is, super, super handy. Sometimes you have to use the product's actual page to get that Bluetooth information. But the nice thing is these just do it directly within Windows. Super handy to have. And I have been using these quite a bit, and their battery life is still at 100, so that really does prove that their battery life is pretty great. I haven't had any issues with their battery life so far, but now that we're talking about battery life, let's quickly go into the list of features. So, as the name goes, it is a very ergonomic focused set of peripherals. The keyboard, being the switch layout, is a more ergonomic design. It helps reduce muscle strain on your wrists, and it can really help, especially if you use the tilting away from you, it can really help keep a good posture and really help out with that, which is nice. And again, the mouse feels really, really great. It feels very similar in terms of my MX Master. It is a lot lighter and it's a lot quieter. So this might be one that I would actually use at the office if I do want to be a little bit quieter. It is a nice, comfortable mouse, and it's a lot less expensive than the MX Master as well. Now, as we mentioned, these can connect up to 3 devices, which I think is awesome. You can use it with your desktop, your laptop, and a tablet or a phone, which is super awesome because they're Bluetooth. The mouse has 3 levels of DPI. You have 800, 1300, and 2000, which is pretty awesome. I typically like 1600, so it's unfortunate that you can't make any adjustments to this DPI, but 1300 is perfectly fine. That's what I use when I use this mouse. And I mean, it feels pretty good, it feels fine, and if you want to, you can adjust it within Windows as well. Now, they say that the keyboard has 90 days of battery power, and that the keyboard and mouse have 6 months of standby time. Now, I can't specifically speak on those numbers because I haven't had it for that long, but I can say that the battery life has been absolutely phenomenal so far. I've been using them quite a bit, trying to use it a little more often, and actually my mom's been using this as well, and the battery life is still fantastic. As you saw, it was still at 100%. I think she may have charged it just because, but the battery life does work really, really well on these things, and I haven't had any major issues with the battery life so far. If I do notice anything, I will update the pinned comment on this video with that, but I don't foresee any issues so far. So now, if you want to hear the volume of the keyboard when typing on it, let's do a quick little typing test. I'm not going to be very good at this. So yeah, I'm not great at typing on a split keyboard. Anytime you change keyboard formats and the positioning of the keys, it'll take a little bit to get used to that new format. Now, I did get better at this while using exclusively this for a couple of days, but I did switch back to using my main keyboards because I just prefer having those more mechanical switches. But my mom did get pretty good at typing on this thing. And again, the more you use it, the more you'll get used to it. I'm just not great at adapting to a different format of keyboard. But the switches do feel great for scissor switches. The only thing I worry about is any kind of debris getting in underneath the keys. The keycaps are nice. They have a little bit of an indentation on them. So you can see that indentation right here. And I mean, it's pretty nice. It makes the keys feel really comfortable. It's really comfortable to keep your fingers rested on the keys, which I think is great. So let's do a quick conclusion with some pros and some cons. So pros, I think the pricing is fantastic for what you're getting here. I think getting a keyboard and a mouse for this price is fantastic. The price is $110, which, for what you're getting with free shipping, you get a year's worth of warranty on them. I think that's a really good price for getting both of these together. I think the mouse is fantastic. I do wish they sold the mouse on its own, so that's a bit of a con there. You can't get this mouse on its own. You can get the keyboard on its own, but the mouse you have to buy as part of the combo. I mean, one of the other pros that we've talked about already is the battery life. The battery life is fantastic. It's very, very good so far. I haven't had any issues. I do like the ability to connect to three devices and how quickly it is to use it with the unifying receiver, which is great. And the Bluetooth stuff, very easy to set up, and it gives you that battery life information on the Bluetooth device. So I think that's awesome. And in terms of other cons, other than not selling the mouse on its own, I can't really think of too many. I mean, scissor switches aren't what I prefer typing on, but they're not a bad switch whatsoever. Again, it feels just like a laptop, so if you do like the feeling of a laptop switch, it's really good. You can type really, really quickly on this thing. Again, it takes a little bit for me to get used to the form factor, but if this is going to be your main keyboard and it's what you're going to use most of the time, a split keyboard is great. But if you are going to be switching between a split keyboard and a standard keyboard, that does get a little bit more difficult, so keep that in mind. All in all, would I recommend this? I would. If you're looking to get a nice ergonomic split keyboard and a great mouse to go along with it, again, for the price, you can't really beat that. This is a really well built set of peripherals. The keyboard feels great, the mouse feels great. They're very comfortable to use, which is important to me. So even if I'm not using the keyboard, I am using the mouse with my laptop whenever I go to the office. So I really do enjoy this mouse. And the keyboard, if you want a split ergonomic keyboard, this is really a good way to go. So if you would like to check this thing out and purchase it from ProtoArc, there is an affiliate link down in the description below, and you can use code Caddac for 10% off any of your purchases, whether you get this one or you check out any of the other ergonomic focused devices on their website. Now, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you like, subscribed. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to reply to them as quickly as possible. Big thanks to my patron sponsors, Thought Slime, Step Back, and Roger Son of Dojo, and thank you for watching the end of this video. If you do want to check out any of my other videos, especially the ones about ergonomics, you can go ahead and check that out right up here. And as always, stay safe out there. I'll see you next Friday.